everyone. Today we're going to talk about piano theory. So when you play piano, you all should know that the left hand plays low notes and the right hand plays high notes. Now musical sounds are written on something called a staff. This is a staff right here. There are 5 lines and 4 spaces, and that makes up the staff. That is where all our notes are written on. Next, after you learn the staff, you have to determine what clef it is. So the clef signs are at the beginning of a musical staff. The treble clef sign means higher notes. So when you're playing piano, the right hand normally plays treble clef. This is also known as the G clef, and contrary to treble clef, there's something called the bass clef, which on piano you play it with your left hand. Treble clef, bass clef, treble clef, bass clef. And that's how bass clef is written. Like I mentioned, left hand plays on the bass staff and usually played with the left hand. And beginning piano music usually has right hand play music on the treble staff, which is just the staff with the treble clef. And the music written on the treble clef is usually played with the right hand. So on piano music, there's numbers by notes, and these are called fingerings. These are used to decide which note you play with which finger. So on the right hand, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the left hand, your thumb is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the thumb's always 1, and it goes in contrary motion because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the pinky is always 5 and the thumb is always 1. So we've talked about treble and bass clef and staffs, and next we are going to talk about this thing right here. This is called the grandstaff. When you look at a piece of piano music, you see the grandstaff. It consists of the treble clef staff and the bass clef staff, but they're tied together by something called a bar line, which it's right here, and they are connected by something called a brace. So the bar lines divide the staff into measures. So depending on the time signature, it tells you where the bar lines divide the staff into measures. And a double bar line is usually used to indicate the end of a piece of music. So we discussed in Piano Basics 1 that the musical alphabet consisted of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And we talked about where the location of all the notes were. So when we look at a piece of sheet music, there's different types of notes. There's line notes and there's space notes. Line notes are notes that are on a line. Space notes are notes that are in a space. If we're looking at middle C, which is noted right here, that is a line note because it has a line in it. So the musical alphabet goes in alphabetical order. So the first note we learned is middle C, which is noted right here. So the next note above that is D. And then the next note above that is E, and this is on a line. And then so on, we have F, which is in a space. And then we have G, which is on a line. And then we have, after that, we have A, which is on a space, and then B, which is on a line, and then C, which is an octave higher than middle C, which we talked about octaves in one of my earlier videos. And we can also do it in descending order, G, F, E, D, C. So now we're going to start talking about the notes in a piece of music. The first type of notes are quarter notes. This is what a quarter note looks like. So it says this is a quarter note. The round part of the note is the note head. which is the round part at the bottom of the note. And it is blackened in, so it's filled in. The line connected to it is the stem of the note. So that's the stem. And a quarter note equals 1 beat. So the next note we're going to talk about is a half note. This is a half note. Unlike the quarter note, the note head is not blackened in. So at the beginning of a piece, after the clef sign, 2 numbers are written. They are called the time signature. It's also called the meter signature. In this is 2/4 time. The time signature means the top note means the number of beats in a measure. So since there are 2 beats in a measure. So that means after every 2 beats in a measure, there's written a bar line, and then that's the end of the measure. Then you start a new measure after 2 more beats, and so on and so forth. And then the bottom note means the type of note that receives 1 beat. For example, since in 2/4 time the bottom note is a 4, so that means the quarter note receives 1 beat. So 2/4 time means that there are 2 beats in each measure and the quarter note receives a beat. So in 2/4 meter, the quarter note receives 1 beat and the half note receives 2 beats. That means in one measure there's either 2 quarter notes or 1 half note. So the next meter we're going to talk about is 3/4 time. So like I mentioned earlier in this video, the top number, which kind of remember it as a numerator in fractions, it equals how many beats are in a measure. And then the bottom note tells you what note receives a beat. So 4 is a quarter, so a quarter note receives the beat. So in 3/4 time, there are 3 beats in each measure, and the quarter note receives a beat. There are 3 beats in each measure, and the quarter note receives 1 beat.